The way that Hillary Clinton's been talked about in the media is so gendered and rabidly sexist in every single portrayal. The adjectives, whether it's the attacks on her personal life or the adjectives that are used to describe her clothing, we have to do a full re-examination. Like, I literally want to make a list that we hand to media outlets that says, like, these are the words you can't use when describing a female candidate. Shrill, inaccessible, difficult, frumpy, plastic. I mean, there's just a list of words that, if we were allowed to talk about male candidates like that, I'd have a fucking field day. I'd enjoy my life so much. Sorry, I get too worked up.
Fuck what the American flag stands for! Fuck patriarchy! We don't stand for that shit! Fuck patriarchy! Fuck yeah!
Heteronormativity!
Hell yeah! Heteronormativity! Gender oppression! Homophobia! Transphobia! Islamophobia! Capitalism! Slavery! Racism! Classism! Elitism! Imperialism! All of it! Burn that shit!
She's one of the organizers of the Black Lives Matter movement.
What? No racist police!
And yesterday, Yusra Kogali helped lead a march on Queen's Park decrying racism. In February, however, Kogali posted what could be interpreted as a hate message of her own on social media. News Talk 1010 found this tweet. Please, Allah, give me strength not to cuss, kill these men and white folks out here today. Please, please, please.
The reason we're setting up an anti-racism directorate is that I believe that we still have systemic racism in our society.
Anti-black racism.
Well, and
anti-black
yes,
racism.
Thank you for saying it. Absolutely, absolutely.
There are many European countries that are much better off.
Oh,
than
you
us.
mean like the European countries with a higher density of whites, like Northern Europe?
There it was. There I was thinking it was just me that had a problem, but it turns out it's the air conditioning that's sexist.
I know. So many women in our office have the exact same problem. You know, we just sit there absolutely freezing at our desks trying to type. You can probably tell I've got a cold right now, which I blame all on the AC. And so it's just so actually quite nice to see this research. It's just such a relief to know that there's actually proof that this is happening, that women, you know, do feel the cold more than men, and that the AC in offices is normally regulated more for a male's temperature than a woman's. One of the biggest problems is that often in offices it is men who control temperatures. You know, that's just something I've found anecdotally. And because majority of the men in offices seem to be absolutely fine with the temperatures, you know, women kind of just sit there on the corner feeling absolutely frozen, and, you know, often, like, actually nothing's being done to help them. And, you know, it might sound like a bit of a silly, light-hearted issue, but actually it's really uncomfortable being freezing at your desk every day.
Here, for all, be quiet! For all students, you understand that? As your position as master, it is your job to create a place of comfort and home for the students that live in Silliman. You have not done that. By sending out that email, that goes against your position as master. Do you understand that? Then
no, I don't agree with that.
Then why the fuck did you accept the position?
Because
Who the fuck hired you?
I have a different vision.
You should step down. If that is what you think about being a master, you should step down. It is not about creating an intellectual space. It is not. Do you understand that? It's about creating a home here. You are not doing that.
You're supposed to be our advocate.
You should be at the event last night when you hear her Franco say that she doesn't know how to create a safe space for her freshmen in Silliman. How do you explain that? These freshmen come here, they think this is what Yale is? Do you hear that? They're going to leave. They're going to transfer because you are a poor steward of this community. You should not sleep at night. We're out. We out. You are disgusting.
Hello, Clementine. You're fantastic. It's lovely to hear someone else who's as enraged about the way things are as I am. I feel quite enraged often. It's nice to have a justification for that. My question is...
You don't need me to tell you to be justified in your anger, by the way. You are justified in it. You only need yourself to tell you that.
Joining us now is someone who was protesting outside the Ferguson Police Department when those two officers were shot last night. Ivory Nett is with us. Ivory, there's a couple of... I've talked to a lot of people on the ground, including people that were there last night. And there's two different stories that have emerged. One is that the shot came from behind the crowd, which brings up the issue of whether or not a high-powered rifle with a scope was used, and others say, well, no, maybe it came from the crowd. What can you tell us?
Well, I was basically right there at the crowd, so I can definitely say it did not come from the crowd. But this is what you have here. There's a situation that happened back in August when Mike Brown was killed, and that was the first action that happened. Then you have a reaction what happened, which was last night when the police officer got shot. I'm not saying it was right.
Ivory, no, you should be saying it's wrong, because you know we now have the Department of Justice under Eric Holder. We now have the grand jury. We have eyewitnesses, many who happen to be black. They testified to the fact that, and the evidence showed, and the forensics showed, we have Mike Brown robbing a store, intimidating a clerk. We know he fought for a cop's gun. We know he charged a police officer. So you're acting as though this is, well, to be expected after Mike Brown acted the way he acted. I think the story here is you shouldn't act that way, and people shouldn't be shooting cops. I don't hear you saying that. Why not?
The thing is, you have no evidence that he charged anybody in the store.
Yeah, we do. We have witnesses that testify.
Listen.
You listen.
Okay. There are also witnesses that testify Mike Brown had his hands up. So you look at the facts first. And the fact remains is there was an altercation on Canfield. The altercation happened between Darren Wilson and Mike Brown. Mike Brown, with the forensics show, there were bullets with the hands. I don't know how, I'm not a scientist, but the facts remain. And but with the cops getting shot last night, that was not right. But that was not right for Mike Brown to be dead. 4 hours left, 4 hours on the ground.
But
so
you know
there's an action
Ivory,
and there's a reaction.
let me ask you this. Let me read to you. I'm sure you didn't read the 87-page report from Eric Holder's Justice Department, did you?
I haven't, but enlighten me.
You haven't. Let me help you, and I'm going to read some of it for you and some of it for our audience, because this is what Eric Holder's Justice Department found out. Witness accounts suggesting that Brown was standing still with his hands raised in an unambiguous signal of surrender when Wilson shot Brown are inconsistent with the physical evidence, are otherwise not credible because of the internal inconsistencies, or are not credible because of inconsistencies with other credible evidence. In contrast, Officer Wilson's account of Brown's actions, if true, would establish that the shootings were not objectively unreasonable under the relevant constitutional standards governing an officer's use of deadly force. Multiple credible witnesses corroborate virtually every material aspect of Wilson's account and are consistent with the physical evidence. Let me translate that for you. So Eric Holder's Justice Department, after investigating it all these months, said the witnesses corroborated and the forensics corroborated and the evidence corroborated the officer's story, and you still believe otherwise. Why don't you believe Eric Holder's Justice Department?
Sir, it sounds like your head is a one-way street, so I'm going to take you to Canfield. I'm going to take you to the St. Louis community, how we feel about this. So
you don't care what the facts are. You don't care what the evidence says.
No. The fact remains is Mike Brown was laid down on that ground for 4 hours.
You keep repeating yourself, but the evidence is that the witnesses said
because that was a fact. That was a fact. That was a fact, sir. So you have to listen to the fact.
All right, here's a fact. Did he rob a store? Did Michael Brown rob a store, sir? He did. Did he intimidate a clerk? He did. Did he fight a cop for his gun? He did. Did he charge an officer? According to the Justice Department, he did.
How do you know? How do you know?
Because of witnesses and forensic evidence presented in the case that you obviously didn't read. And now 2 cops are shot, and you're trying to compare this.
We're on live TV right now, so present that to the world. Can you do that? Can you present that to the world?
You need to educate yourself and maybe read the evidence in the case, read the grand jury testimony, which you haven't read, and read the Department of Justice report.
Put the facts on television.
Let me go back to Steve Herrick.